everyone, this is Jessica from jewelrytutorialhq.com and Bespangled Beads on Etsy. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this reclaimed braided leather bracelet with snaps and all. This type of braid is known as the inside trick braid or the magic braid because both of the ends are completely intact, as you can see. You'll find a complete list of all of the tools and supplies needed for this project below the video on YouTube or at jewelrytutorialhq.com. I'm using some nice soft supple leather that I salvaged from an old handbag in another video, but whichever leather you want to use, make sure it is flexible, and you're going to want to cut a strip that is at least 1.5 inches wide. And I'm going to give you a formula to help you figure out the length that you need to start with. First, you need to figure out the length that you want your finished bracelet to be, and be sure to include room for overlap the ends for the clasp, which should be about 1 inch. Multiply that number by 1.3 to account for shrinkage. For example, if you want a 7.5 inch fit, then you're going to start with 7.5 inches, add 1 inch for the overlap of the clasp at the ends, you get 8.5 inches. That's the number that you want to multiply by 1.3 to account for the length lost from braiding. So in this example, the number that we get is approximately 11 inches, which is what I'm starting with. Now we need to mark and divide this strip into 3 equal parts. So for this 1.5 inch wide strip, I'm going to mark it at 1/2 inch intervals in several places along the strip so that I can connect the lines easily. Remember that we're not going to cut all the way to the end. I like to leave about a ruler's width of space at the end, which is 1.25 inches at each end. I'm going to use a metal edge ruler to cut. Make sure your knife is nice and sharp or you will get jagged edges on your leather. Now we're finally ready to get to the fun part. Go ahead and use some masking tape to tape your leather down to the table. And we're going to braid in sections. We're going to do right over middle, left over middle, then right over middle. And since we started on the right, we're going to take the end and pass it through the gap on the right side, and it's going to twist up the end there. Now continue left over middle, right over middle, then left over middle, then stop and pass the end through the gap on the left side, and it will straighten out the braid. Now a little bit more slowly, we're back to the right side, right, left, right, and then we're going to pass the end through the hole on the right side and twist it up, and then we need to do left, right, left, and pass it through the hole on the left side, and that will straighten it back out again. Back to right, left, right, and yes, we are running out of room, but I can still get this end back through the hole on the right side. Since we always need to work in an even number of sections, that means that I'm going to have to tighten up the braid here at the top so that I can get one last sequence of the left, right, left in there and straighten out the end. So I'm just going to tug on these pieces and kind of braid it a little tighter up at the top just to make a little bit of room for me down here. Okay, I think I can make it left, right, left, and back through one last time on the left side so we can get it all straightened out at the end. Now to add the snaps, I'm using some Dritz snap setting pliers. These are the ones that can accommodate several different kinds of snaps. You want to make sure that the rubber rings are on like this. We're going to start with the prong side, and that goes in the bottom part of the jaw. The bottom is the one that doesn't have the yellow plastic thing. So the top on the yellow side, we're going to put the male component and center it on the piece of leather. Make sure you're at least ½ inch in and squeeze the pliers tight to set the snap. Now for the other end, this one's a little bit harder to figure out. There are two sides to this piece. One is almost flush, and then the other, the middle part sticks out a little bit. Where the middle part sticks out, that needs to face up when you set it in the bottom jaw of the plier. Now I'm using these faux mother of pearl snaps, and just from past experience, these pliers can kind of scratch the top, so even though it makes it a little more tricky to get in there, I'm just putting some tape over it to protect it from being scratched. And we're going to do the same as before, just center the pliers with the snap in them over your end of leather, about the same distance in as you did on the other side, and squeeze really tight. By the way, if you're just using plain snaps, you're not going to need the tape for this step, so it'll be a little bit easier for you. Now we have a finished bracelet with a working snap clasp, but I prefer the way it looks when the ends are rounded, so I'm just going to trim these up using these sharp fabric scissors, round off the corner a little bit. And you can also take care of any extra leather that you might have at the ends here at this point. So that's it, you guys. I hope you'll let me know if you have any questions. I know you will. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any new videos. And come visit me over at jewelrytutorialhq.com and bespangledbeads.etsy.com. Thank you so much for watching.